What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So now I'm hearing some different experts saying that they think that the Senate would be easier to win than the House. Now, I don't agree. I think the House is still, even though with all the redistricting, I think Democrats still have a good shot of taking back the House. I also think that Democrats have a pathway to take back control of the Senate. It's going to be much harder. But what I want to focus on today is I want to focus on these 9 seats in the U.S. Senate. And these are the seats that I consider in play. So we're going to go over all of these seats, and then I'm going to give you some different scenarios of how Democrats can take back control of the Senate. That's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so as we stated, the House, I think Democrats are still likely to win the House. If you look at the prediction markets, they're still showing that Democrats are likely to win the House. And so there hasn't been a significant change when it comes to redistricting. Yes, Republicans are able, they've been able to draw new lines. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to win as many seats as they're trying to draw, but it does give them a slight advantage when it comes to redistricting. But when it comes to the big scheme of things, voters actually going out and voting, the economy is still rocky. We're still in a war. Gas prices are still up there, inflation, all of that stuff. So none of that stuff has changed. So the voters' opinion hasn't changed. And we've seen in the latest polling, we've seen in special elections, we've seen in the primary elections that Democrats are energized to vote. And if Democrats are energized to vote and Republicans aren't energized and they're not coming out in the same numbers that Democrats are coming out, then we are going to see some of these seats that Republicans think that they'll be able to win. They're not going to win because they're not going to get the turnout that they want. And so let's go over our current situation in the U.S. Senate. Now, what I'm saying is if we had an election today based on the polling, based on the prediction markets, based on the economy, all the stuff that's going on right now, this is what I think would happen. Okay, so when we're looking at these 9 states that are considered in play, we're looking at Alaska, we're looking at Texas, Iowa, Michigan, Ohio, North Carolina, Georgia, New Hampshire, and Maine. These are the 9 states that I think are in play. Now, we do have some other states that could be wild cards. We could look at a state like Montana. You have an independent that could win there. Nebraska, you have an independent that could win there. So those could be the wild cards. But when we're looking at all the information that we have today, I think these are the 9 states that'll be in play in November. Now, as I stated, this is as of today. Now, this could change. We could see a state like South Carolina be in play. Right now, I don't think it is, but we could see that be in play. We could see a state like Florida in play. Now, both of these right now, they're likely Republicans will win. But if our economy continues to struggle and we keep seeing these numbers coming in when it comes to the president's job approval and all that, we could see some of these states actually move into an in-play situation. But right now, what I want to do is I want to go over some of these states. Now, when we're talking about Democrats have 3 states that they need to defend. So Republicans have an opportunity in these 3 states to flip them. Okay, and the states are Georgia, Michigan, and New Hampshire. Now, when it comes to Democrats, the good news is when it comes to Democrats, they're looking pretty good in all 3 states. Okay, they're in the polling, they're showing a lead, especially when we're looking at Georgia. Ossoff is showing a lead. He's an incumbent. He does have an incumbent advantage. And so right now, I would say Georgia leans for Democrats. When it comes to New Hampshire, same thing. You have Pappas running. I think he's doing pretty good in the polling. He's neck and neck with Sununu, but he does have the lead in most of the polls. And so I would say in a situation like New Hampshire, it leans Democrats. Democrats have a slight advantage there. Now, when we're looking at Michigan, this is an open seat. We don't know exactly how this is going to play out. You have 3 Democratic candidates that are running in a primary, and it's a very close race between the 3, so we don't know who the nominee is going to be on the Republican side and the Democratic side. And something else to note, when it comes to Michigan, we did see a race. We saw a special election, Senate 35. Green won that. He's a Democrat. He won it by 20 percentage points. So by him winning by 20 percentage points, and if you go back to 2024, Harris won it by less than 1%. And so we see that voters have shifted in that district. Now, if that is statewide, if the voters are pretty much feeling the same way statewide, then Democrats have even a better chance of winning in Michigan. Right now, I would say this is a very close race, but I think it does lean for Democrats. So if we're looking at the 3 states that Democrats need to defend, I think right now, if the election were held today, Democrats would be able to win all 3 of those states. And so now we have 6 states left. Now, these are states that Republicans need to defend. If they can't defend these seats, then Democrats have a chance to take back control of the Senate. So when we're looking at these states, let's start with North Carolina. North Carolina right now, it's an open seat. Roy Cooper's running. He's a Democrat. He's a 2-time governor. In the polling, he's showing, really good numbers. And so if the polling is correct, Roy Cooper will most likely win in North Carolina. We look at Maine. You have Plattner versus Collins. And when we're looking at the polling between Plattner and Collins, Plattner's leading in all of the polls. And so if we see Plattner win, then that would be another seat for Democrats. Now, let's move to Iowa. This is right now, it's still developing. We don't know exactly who the candidates are going to be. And so I would say right now, this is too close to call, but I would still say that it leans for Republicans. So let's just say Republicans win in Iowa. Okay, now let's move down to Texas. Now, this is one of those states that's also hard to call, but you do have a rising star, Tallarico. He's a Democrat. We'll have to see if he's able to beat either Cornyn or Paxton. We still don't know if it's going to be Cornyn or Paxton. But right now, the latest polling is showing that Tallarico has a lead. However, we have seen some polls recently that show that Cornyn has a lead or Paxton has a lead. But because we don't know who Tallarico is running against, it's very, very hard to call this state. And so right now, I would consider this too close to call, or I would consider it a toss-up. Okay, now let's move to Alaska. When it comes to Alaska, you have Sullivan. He's a Republican. He's an incumbent. However, when we're looking at the polling, Peltola, who's the Democrat, she is polling better than Sullivan. So something is going on in Alaska. I don't know exactly what it is. And if you guys live in Alaska, comment down below. Let me know how you feel about these 2 candidates, because something's going on in the polling and it's showing that Peltola is the favorite. And so we'll have to see how it plays out. Right now, I would say that this is leaning Democrat, believe it or not. I would say that because I haven't seen a poll with Sullivan ahead of Peltola. I just haven't seen that poll. And so until I see a poll that shows Sullivan ahead and see a few polls that are showing Sullivan ahead, right now you have to say that this is leaning for Democrats. You can't even call it a toss-up. Usually a toss-up is when you have one poll that shows one candidate and then the other poll shows the other candidate. It kind of goes back and forth. But in this situation, Peltola is winning in all of the polls. So I would say this leans for Democrats. So let's say Democrats win that seat. So now if we go up to the top and we look at the numbers, you have Democrats and independents at 50. You have Republicans at 48. You have one more state that we're going to look at, Ohio, and then you have one toss-up. So now let's look at Ohio. This is another state that's very hard to call. And it's very hard to call because you have Sherrod Brown running against Husted. Husted is the incumbent, but Husted was appointed to the position, so Husted has never run a Senate race before. Where on the other hand, Sherrod Brown has run a Senate race before, and he's won a Senate race before multiple times. He did lose the last one in 2024, and that's why he's running again, but Sherrod Brown knows what it takes to win in Ohio. Husted doesn't because he was appointed. This is going to be a really, really tight race. And right now, when you look at the polling, you see Sherrod Brown ahead in one poll. You see Husted ahead in a couple polls. And I think this race is going to come down to momentum in Ohio. So where is the wind blowing, basically, is what we're going to be saying. So if we see, and if you look at the map again, if we see North Carolina go to a Democrat, if we see Maine go to a Democrat, if we see Alaska go to a Democrat, that would let us know that the momentum is moving in the Democrats' favor, right? And if we're seeing that momentum moving around the U.S., we're probably going to see it in Ohio too. And that might just be enough for Sherrod Brown to win. So let's say Sherrod Brown wins. Now we're looking at Democrats and independents at 51, Republicans at 48, and then we would still have one toss-up, and that toss-up would be Texas. And so even if Republicans won in Texas, Democrats would still have control. They would take control of the Senate. Now we could see Tallarico win in Texas. That's a very good possibility. If Tallarico wins in Texas, now you're looking at Democrats and independents at 52, Republicans at 48. And we could also see a situation where, let's say, Tallarico wins in Texas, but Husted is able to pull it out in Ohio, and we could be looking at a map where Democrats and independents are at 51, Republicans are at 49. So we could see that scenario as well. And so what I'm going to be focusing on in the midterm election, I'm going to be focusing on what's going on in North Carolina and what's going on in Maine. Those will probably be the first two states that will be called. And if we see Democrats win both of those seats, and we see Democrats able to defend Georgia, defend Michigan, defend New Hampshire, then it's going to be a long night for Republicans. And it's going to be a good night for Democrats, because if we see that wind at their backs, if we see the momentum on the Democrat side, we're going to see Democrats probably win even in Ohio, win in Alaska, and potentially win in Texas. And so that's how I feel about our current Senate map, but I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.